Well, there's another Comic-Con in the books, and we finally got our first look at the upcoming Aquaman film. As a character I've been emotionally invested in for the last couple years, I couldn't help but think of what I'd like to see in the film. Now, these aren't speculations. I did a whole video about why speculating about films is a bad idea. These are just things I think would be rad to see on the big screen. And with that being said, I'm Bo with Bootleg Video, and these are 10 things I'd like to see in Aquaman. But if you like movies, TV shows, comics, movies and TV shows based on comics, Star Wars, sometimes professional wrestling, consider hitting that subscribe button and maybe that bell for notifications. Now, I know what you're thinking. Have we really run out of superheroes, and now the only one left who doesn't have a film yet is Aquaman? And the answer is, yeah, kinda. But I don't blame you. Despite the fact that he's king of, 75% of the planet, Aquaman has had an image problem for decades. Most likely due to his time on the old cartoon show, The Super Friends. And no wonder people make fun of him. Just going off the show's open, this is how they introduce Superman. This is how they introduce Batman. Wonder Woman gets to lasso a frickin' space dragon. And then here's how they introduce Aquaman. Skiing on a couple of dolphins. Yeah, it's impressive, but you look like an idiot. Why is Aquaman flying in space? This show is terrible. So this seems like a good place to start.
Number 10. Lean into the perception.
Let's face it, Aquaman is an easy punchline. Robot Chicken has been doing it for years. Heck, even I did it when I wrote and directed 2 plays about Batman when I was in high school.
Superman called and has denied your admittance into the Super Friends.
They let in Aquaman and all he can do is talk to fish.
So what I hope to see in the big screen adaptation is for James Wan to go after that low-hanging fruit. The film seems to be taking a lot of elements from Jeff Johns' New 52 run, and one of the best elements was how the average Joes of the DC universe see Arthur Curry as just a man who can talk to fish. More on that later. They didn't even believe Atlantis was real, let alone the fact that Aquaman was its king, and they definitely didn't care about his super strength, bulletproof skin, or the fact that he wouldn't hesitate to shove a trident right in your stupid face. This mocking served a deeper purpose though, as it demonstrated just how unwelcome Aquaman was in our world. No matter how many heroic deeds he performed, he wouldn't be accepted by the surface dwellers. Although it might be a bit of a stretch to think someone would go up to Khal Drogo and tell him he's nobody's favorite superhero. It's unclear just how much the public knows about Aquaman, but his profile seems to have risen since joining the Justice League, as evident by Freddie Freeman wearing a t-shirt with his logo on it in the trailer for Shazam.
Number 9. He doesn't talk to fish.
Wipe that smug look off your face, Affleck. At least he doesn't have a stupid back tattoo. You may have heard that Aquaman talks to fish. This, however, is false. In the Justice League film, Aquaman states that the water does the talking. And since I have no idea what that means, I'm just going to go off how it's explained in the comics. A fish's primitive brain is unable to carry on a conversation. What Aquaman does is more of a form of telepathy, reaching into their minds and pushing them to give him aid. And not every animal is susceptible to his abilities. Dolphins apparently can be tricky due to their intelligence. So you see, Super Friends? You ruined a good man's reputation for nothing! Additionally, one of the cooler aspects of this power is how it fails to work when the animal's survival instincts have kicked in. Almost like a reverse Spidey sense, Aquaman's inability to psychically push creatures acts as a warning of oncoming danger. Often it's used to signify the arrival of the creatures from the Trench, a race of cannibalistic humanoid underwater dwellers. Also, I don't want to make this its own segment. Please don't make the Trench creatures an intelligent race that uses weapons and stuff. They're scarier when they're a mindless force of nature, just killing and eating and ripping people apart. The Aquaman comics are intense, guys. You should really check them out.
Number 8. Secret cameo.
It wouldn't be a superhero film without a surprise cameo or Easter egg, something that would tease an upcoming project or hint at a larger world. And while a lot of fans would probably want someone like Batman or Wonder Woman to make a trip under the sea, there's one character that would make more sense, and that's Superman's oft-forgotten college girlfriend/secret mermaid, Lori Lamaris. I know this is supposed to be a more grounded universe, and I don't know where she'd fit in the Man of Steel timeline, but there's never been any evidence that Superman didn't have a college girlfriend/secret mermaid. She's rarely been used outside the comics, and if there is ever a place to introduce a mermaid, it'd be in the Aquaman film. Also, the longer I talk about this, the more I want a DC remake of the movie Splash, and I'm never gonna get it, so let's move on.
Number 7. Outrageous.
Since his debut in 1941's More Fun Comics number 73, there have been many interpretations of the King of Atlantis. From cookie-cutter babyface to underwater barbarian, a brooding monarch to some kind of weird sea wizard, there's really no wrong take on the character. One of the most refreshing takes was in the underrated animated series Batman: The Brave and the Bold, where an exuberant and boastful Aquaman was always quick to regale the Caped Crusader with tales of his heroic adventures, accompanied by his signature catchphrase, "Outrageous!" But listen, Aquaman the movie, if you're gonna do it, do it. If this ass-whooping Aquaman can run around being all yeah and then there's no reason you can't go all in on an outrageous. I sat through 2 hours of Justice League looking for a booyah, and all I got was a booyah. Just do it.
Number 6, aquatic allies.
I'm not talking about Aqualad, although one of the Aqualads would make a good addition in a future film. And I'm not talking about one of the handful of Aqua Girls. I'm talking about Quisp, the water sprite. Nah, I'm just kidding, he's lame. I'm talking about Aqua Baby. Nah, I'm kidding again, he's dead. What I am talking about is the many underwater creatures that Aquaman has befriended over the years. Tusky the walrus, Porpy the porpoise, Gnarls the narwhal. I made that last one up. Ark the seal, which doesn't make sense until you realize seals go ark, 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 ark. But Aquaman's most prominent aquatic allies have been Topo the octopus and his trusty steed, Storm the seahorse. He also has a pet named Salty, also known as the Aqua Dog. That's probably a joke though, but Superman has a super dog and Batman has a bat hound, so why not? I don't need these animals to be a big part of the plot, or even get called out by name, but maybe he could get some help from an octopus and be like, "I'm man," like they were old friends. And there are reports that instead of a seahorse, Aquaman will be riding a sea dragon, because horses are for chicks, and real manly men drink beers and ride dragons. Yeah! Overcompensating.
Number 5, Mira is awesome.
Mira is awesome. Her past is long and complicated and varies depending on which story you're reading, but one constant has been her hydrokinesis, or her ability to manipulate water. What doesn't get brought up enough is just how incredibly devastating this power can be. Sure, she can create tidal waves and typhoons and ice spears and all the things you would expect, but Mira is a badass with some serious anger issues, which can take her down some dark and twisted paths. She's been known to threaten her opponents with removing water from their brains or filling up their lungs with water, and once ended a hostage situation by dehydrating a man to the point of dementia. Amber Heard's character looks like she'll have the badass part down, but I'll be spending the whole movie waiting for her to do some truly violent torturing. And yes, I know there's something wrong with me, Mom.
Number 4, Steal from Deep Blue Sea.
I understand that this is a guilty pleasure for me personally. I may be the only person who wants this, but I love a good surprise creature attack. I don't care if it's a rodent of unusual size or a Jurassic shark. Deep Blue Sea is not a good movie, but that Samuel L. Jackson scene is iconic. Aquaman's been known to pull a surprise shark attack from time to time. Here's some chowing down on some parademons. And they even paid homage to Deep Blue Sea in the animated film Justice League Throne of Atlantis, a storyline that appears to be influencing the upcoming film. Outrageous. Not good enough.
Number 3, the ongoing saga of Black Manta.
Black Manta is Aquaman's primary antagonist. He's his Reverse Flash, his Joker, his Lex Luthor. Not that one. Not that one either. Get me a good one. That'll do. In one version of their history, Aquaman blames Manta for the death of his father, who had a heart attack while trying to save his son from Manta's attacks. Enraged and grief-stricken, Aquaman goes after Black Manta, who at this point is more of a treasure hunter than a full-on supervillain, and boards Black Manta's boat in the dark of night during a torrential storm. He finds Black Manta and snaps his neck, just in case you didn't think he fit in the DCEU. Sorry, Worlds of DC. However, Aquaman snapped the wrong neck, and the man on the boat was actually Black Manta's father. They say when you embark on a journey of revenge, dig 2 graves. Even Aquaman knows the only way his rivalry with Black Manta can end is with their deaths. Their relationship is epic and tragic, and I can't wait to see it played out in live action. But then again, there was also that time when Black Manta turned into an actual Black Manta, so whatever. Based on the trailer though, I don't know how much Black Manta will actually be getting in the film. It appears Orm will be the primary antagonist, and I wouldn't be surprised if Manta works in more of a henchman role, possibly playing a larger role in a future sequel. And I hate when films do that, FYI. I understand that you want some place to go in a sequel when expectations are to escalate the threats, but if you're not Batman or Spider-Man, who have a deep, rich rogues gallery and the ability to reboot every couple years, then you risk never being able to tell these epic stories. You end up with an underwhelming first installment where your hero fights that stupid Galactus cloud and Sloth from the Goonies.
Number 2, Ocean Master's monologue.
Now don't get me wrong, Aquaman's half-brother Orm, also known as Ocean Master, is one of Aquaman's key villains. Their story is more Shakespearean, 2 brothers vying for a throne, wanting the best for their kingdoms, but with different ideologies about how to do it. If that sounds familiar, it's because it's a pretty universal tale. With the ability to control the sea and having an underwater army at his disposal, Orm is able to cause destruction on a massive level. But just as it's easy to oversimplify Aquaman, it's easy to dismiss Ocean Master as just some mustache-twirling villain. His motives are rarely more complicated than punishing the people who pollute the oceans. But there is one monologue in Jeff Johns' Throne of Atlantis story that gave Orm more depth than he had been given in decades. Orm grew up on stories of the horrors of the surface world, the terrible ways we treat each other, and how we pollute our air, land, and seas. As a child, upon learning he had an older brother trapped in such a terrible place, he wept with fear and begged the Atlantean guards to bring Arthur home to Atlantis where he could be safe from the air-breathing monsters. The guards refused though, so Orm vowed that one day, when he was king, he would build up his army and rescue his brother. With this one monologue of a scared child desperate to be united with the brother he never knew, a level of pathos was granted to an otherwise one-dimensional character. We should probably stop polluting the oceans though, and recycle. We've only got one world. Taking care of the environment is important, and it's our duty to—
Number 1, just be good.
Aquaman is already starting out behind the 8 ball, just for being Aquaman. You've got a character that people think is a joke, coming from a studio that has been less than consistent when it comes to the quality of their superhero films. I want everything to be good. I don't understand the mentality of people who only like DC movies or only like Marvel movies. I just like good movies. And I want the characters I grew up loving to be in good movies. And unfortunately, the DC films make me nervous.
Why did you say that name?
So please, Aquaman, just be good. Gnarls the Narwhale is counting on you. So Aquaman is great, but what do you want to see in the film? Do you have a favorite interpretation of the character? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like movies, TV shows, comics, movies and TV shows based on comics, Star Wars, and sometimes professional wrestling, consider hitting that subscribe button and maybe that bell for notifications. I've been Bo with Bootleg Video. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram. Insert catchphrase here.
No manatee wants a fight crime. It's a sea cat.